construction.
I didn't quite have only a few minutes before I text you.
That Scott's coming in.
Scott is.
Shane.
No.
Okay.
No. Scott's not gonna be here
Okay.
today.
That's it. JN or?
I have heard that.
Okay. I'm assuming, I guess.
I assume somebody has grants or things we have to do.
Yeah, there are. I see that.
No, if not, I have the things.
You do? Okay. Well, I should
And
have
there's all
known that
kinds
part.
of signatures there.
Was I right when I emailed you back that that was almost word for word then what? we
Pretty
did?
much I CPA'd it out of
Yeah.
some of that stuff.
Most of it I recalled and without looking, but yeah. Okay.
So is there anything we can jump ahead to while we wait?
This is not here.
I did speak with Colin this morning about DD5. Close. We're not done, but we're close. The actual dirt moving in erosion blanket is on, but they left and they didn't finish cleaning up. So they need to come back and clean up. And then Colin will sign off on it. But we're told maybe tomorrow.
Most of the blankets all down.
Yep. But they left a number of large rocks
Um,
in the way of the farmers.
mhm.
So they need to come out and move
So
them.
maybe by this time next week,
I'm hoping.
we would be done.
I'm hoping by next Tuesday we'll have a letter from Colin certifying completion, then we can set a hearing date.
Yep. Well, we're getting close.
But at that point, I don't know if we want to start talking with Mr. Hudson about when he's available, either to be here in person or at least by phone, because we're going to need him.
With
I
the
guess.
For
To go over,
phase and all.
yeah, and damages and how we're going to assess them, such.
Okay,
So,
I forgot.
Does that have to be done at the end of the deadline for the FEMA?
well, it just needs to be certified complete at that point. As long as they have that, we're good.
And then hopefully we can start to get some FEMA money rolling in.
Yeah.
So next year we can money.
Yep. Can I ask a quick question, Barb? I don't know what's Jamie got in his agenda in 2 weeks. Oh, that's July 13th.
Right.
That must be July 13th?
He was booked up until when? Well, I wanted to ask you about that too. He was booked up until July 6th, and I said, well, I don't know whether they'll want to meet the 6th or not.
Oh, understood.
So
I
I
would've gone
pushed
the
him back
6th.
till the 13th, and that,
Yeah,
I
we got-
suppose your courthouse day off on the 5th.
right,
And I will be gone that week anyway.
so yeah, that's why it's not till the 13th.
Okay. Did he have a reasoning, or is it?
You received that
Yeah.
information, and I don't know. if
Okay.
Something
And then a year and a half later.
started that, or what?
Exactly what I was thinking.
In June.
Just send you a message, so you can ignore that.
Morning.
Good morning.
Do we have, let's see.
Well, June, the 29th will finish the year, finish and start the year. Is what I
Right.
was thinking there.
Okay.
reach out to Jim, give him a green light, try to find something vehicle.
Yeah, I was double checking to see what we had for cap on that, but we didn't set one,
We didn't.
so we can just, I'm gonna put it on this agenda for approval, so you can get him to find something, then we can get it approved, that would be great.
We need a vehicle right
Oh my goodness, I talked to, somebody, Jim, to have him find a vehicle. Found one, he emailed me, I called him 10 minutes later, and he had sold it 5 minutes prior.
now.
I think, next time don't email me, Jim, call me.
So there's a huge lot at Carl Chevrolet and Anthony, whoever said that they're down there, so they said that usually it's just full, and these is just acres and acres, there's like 4 cars in the whole lot. It's
Yeah.
just a whole bunch of Jeep. I think it's more GM, what it seems, than Dodge and Chrysler and Jeep,
They
but
said everybody's short.
yeah, because a lot of dealerships you drive by and they think they're going out of business because there's no cars on their lots.
Well, and then one issue for discussion is where we're gonna house the car. We really don't have anywhere to put it, so, and a lot of times Abby will take off to in a different direction. Can we just have her house it at her place?
I would like to think that would be the best option.
She's not gonna use that in any
No.
way.
No, I would agree with that, I think she should keep it at home, and then, I mean, obviously coming here, she can't use it, but if she's gotta go somewhere, she can just go from home anyway, so. That's how we're doing it with, I think, Sharon is doing it that way too, so.
If she knows she's gonna have a road from here, she drives it here and then goes. So,
So if they're just coming to the office, they obviously can't use it.
Right.
But anywhere else they would, so it makes sense to keep it home.
I agree.
Yeah, because, I don't know where we put it, and then we got issues in the winter with it, they don't want it on the square, and
Yep.
Welcome, Shane.
Morning.
Whenever you're ready.
Well, I didn't have a real firm agenda, I just wanted to check in with you. I promised I would do that at least quarterly, and so I'm back.
Good.
It's like the proverbial bad penny. Still, we're working on the car, and I appreciate Sherry's efforts on that. So hopefully we'll get having a car that she can ride. Ultimately, that does save the region money. You know, some folks out there in the world might question that, but it really does save. You know, we've tracked that, and when we track the miles, we've proven that it definitely, we can recoup the cost on that within probably a couple of years.
Not of everybody who has a vehicle now, Abby will drive more than they do probably.
Yeah,
She
well,
puts on so many miles.
Oh, yeah.
I think she does, so it makes more sense to her than any of us, to be honest. So, I think it's a good thing, and I hadn't thought of that before, but so I think that will ultimately save us some dollars. And she'll have a reliable vehicle to drive, not have to drive her own, put the miles on that. So.
Everything going good with Emmett?
What's that?
Emmett County, everything going all right?
Everything's going along swimmingly, I think.
Yeah.
We're doing, we're on transition there. We've got, actually I have Beth going there today. She's meeting one more time with the coordinator from County Social Services to make sure we have a smooth handoff. But I'm pretty confident that we'll be where we need to be with respect to Emmett. They'll come on board and we'll be able to move forward without a whole lot of difficulty.
Okay.
So, appreciate your willingness to allow Abby to take on that county. I don't think that'll add a whole lot to her plate, but it'll be a good thing for consistency. We have just the one serving the whole region. I've been there before where we've had, more than one, and that gets to be problematic. So this will be really nice. Have Debbie does a pretty good job, so.
She's very.
Sometimes too good a job. She's incredibly passionate about what she does, so you've got to like lasso her. I'd rather have that than the opposite.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, it is, because I've had folks in the past, advocates, that you couldn't get them to do the job. And that's not a good thing either. The whole purpose is for them to be advocating properly. So I'd rather have that than the other.
And she does a good job of that too, realizing that she's not really your employee, that she's advocating for her clients. And she does a very good job of that.
Yeah, she's responsible to me in some regard.
Exactly.
You're right. Her job is to advocate for her consumer, and she needs to, and she does that. So. And we don't always agree, and that's okay. You know, I respect her and all my staff, and told them often from day one, you don't have to agree with me. I'm not always right. I shouldn't admit that in public. I've got good people, they've been doing their jobs for a long while, and I trust them. I'm open to what they say and what they think, and they take their advice. Might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night.
Have you had any providers reach out to you from O'Brien County in regards to the switch from Beth to Mavis?
I've had just the voc rehab folks. Assured them that Beth would stay involved in that. So, we're going to do a hybrid approach. Mavis will do the day-to-day stuff. And as I told you a long while ago, Beth will stay involved in the schools. And see how that goes. And we'll change it if we need to change it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll deal with that as we go along. But I think that's a good way to handle it. I just can't have Beth doing everything.
As much as we would like her to.
I know, and Beth is good, but she's only one person. So I've got coordinators elsewhere, so we're gonna try this and see how it goes. But again, I'm open to change, and if we need to make a different move, we'll make a different move. So
Very good.
my chief concern is making sure that you get what you need here, and the providers are happy, and school districts, and make changes if we do.
Appreciate that.
Always open to that. So you guys, when you hear things, you need to share that with me. Sherry, you're usually pretty good about that. We'll do what we need to do.
And she's our rep, so if there's something that obviously.
Yeah. And because you got to be your own advocate. You're advocating for your folks and your providers, and I mean that's part of my job as well. But you know them. When they reach out to you, you've got to make certain I'm aware of that. So I can't fix a problem if I don't know there's a problem. So. At any rate, we're at a place now where we're getting close to the new fiscal year. That's coming up in about a month and a half, less. And we still have lots and lots of questions about where that's going to take us. We're waiting for the legislature to finish their work. They, as you're all aware, the Senate had passed the bill regarding funding and has subsequently amended that bill a couple of times. The House finally took it up. Well, we're supposed to take it up yesterday and last night. By 1 o'clock this morning, I've been watching. They adjourned without having even discussed it. So they've not addressed it yet. They say they'll address it today. We'll see. I know they want to wrap up today, if they can. They were dealing with approach last night and the justice bill, so I think they'll be able to deal with the Senate file today. So we'll see where that ends up. But that'll change how we do business, obviously. Although I'm not at all certain about what happens with our levy now coming into FY22. The Senate file would have had the levy capped at 20 and some change, maybe 21, the local levy. So we would have had to recertify. But we met with the governor's office last week on that and DHS, and there's some concern at the state level that the regions are going to try to game the system, which is really a joke. So then they're talking about, well, not allowing us to lower our levies because they want us to spend those local dollars first and before the state kicks in, which is not at all what the bill says. So I can't tell you today whether we're going to be able to lower the levy or not in this coming fiscal year. So hopefully we'll find that out. We've got some meetings set up at DHS over the next couple of weeks to try to figure that out once the legislature does their thing. And so I know they obviously will be sharing that with the board and you folks. So I know where that's at. My hope is that if they pass it, we can have that levy lowered. I think that makes a lot of sense. But we'll see what they say.
Was there any more federal money that you guys got from coronavirus or anything?
We've not heard anything about that. What we know is that the monies are coming to you as counties, and Sherry shared that. We talked a little bit about that via email. The schools are getting a bunch of money, I know. Cities, counties, so I was looking at what it looks like in our region alone, there's going to be about $22 million that you guys will be, you guys are going to share that, of course. So that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And I remember in Sioux County, they got, last time around, they got about $440,000 and we're struggling with ways to spend that.
Exactly.
So now they're getting over $6 million, so how the heck are you gonna, we should never be put in a position where we gotta dream up ways to spend money. That's kind of ridiculous, I think. But I can dream up some ways to spend those dollars for you, if you like. I mean, we've got some obviously needs in the region, we have new mandates, and you're well aware of that. I've talked about that ad nauseum, but we're going to have to deliver services at IRSH, which is intensive residential, the access center, we talked about that. We tried to get a building in Sheldon, that didn't work out for us, and so we're looking at trying to do a hybrid model there. But we're going to jump through some hoops in Spirit Lake to try to get permission to do, to utilize a building there that the Lakes Life Skills folks on. So hopefully that will be approved ultimately. Wheels of bureaucracy grind forward rather slowly, so we're still waiting for that to happen. But a lot of things we still need to do that just, with intensive residential services, while it's a mandate, kicking in effective July 1, we're still not able to find a provider that's willing to step forward because the state has not done their job. They've got to come up with a rate that the providers can live with, and that rate needs to be probably $600–700 a day in order for that to work because of the kinds of individuals that are utilizing that service. The MCOs, obviously, because they're for-profit, they don't want to spend any money if they don't have to. Maybe not characterizing them unfairly, but it sure feels that way. And when your bottom line is to your shareholders, then you're going to pay attention to them. And it's, we've struggled with that. Facility in Sioux City, we have a tough time getting them to kick in to cover that. I suspect it will be the same with the access centers and IRSH. IRSH, they haven't even come up with the waivers, I said, and there are no guarantees there yet. So until they do that, there will be no provider that's going to step forward. We've done some RFPs along those lines, some of the other regions, and there is a provider out of, I think, Council Bluffs area. It says they're willing, provided they put a package together. They're asking for over $800 a day. Obviously, that's not been approved. And we met with the MCOs actually as a group of CEOs on Thursday of last week, and they haven't done a darn thing with it. I mean, literally nothing. We were under the impression that they were working with providers and trying to come up with some rates that made sense, and as it turns out, they've talked with one provider, that's it, and have done nothing with that. So DHS was holding their feet to the fire, I think, as of Thursday and Friday, and I got an email, I think on Monday, that there's a little movement there, so we'll see what happens. If Crossroads, which is the provider that had put that package together, is awarded a contract, then they would probably put a facility in Sioux City, which would then serve this region, so we could contract with them and meet that mandate. So hopeful that that will happen, actually. And having a contract that, just means, we would send folks there if need be. We wouldn't, theoretically, we're not responsible for the funding. That would be the MCOs, but that's only theoretical because.
So phone team,
Yeah.
and then not having clarification from the state, and having provider shortage, and where we live, having providers to go anywhere, it's hard to entice somebody here.
So, a lot of things still up in the air, but we're hoping to see some resolution at the legislature today, tomorrow. They'll wrap up. Once they wrap up, then I think we'll see something with respect to our building in Sioux City. We've been working with Rolling Hills, as you know, to purchase that. They've said they're not going to do anything until the legislature wraps up. So if that happens today, then I think they'll put a meeting together to address that. And hopefully we can get some movement there. Love to see them purchase the building, and we can contract with them for some services for some of our southern tier counties, and get a little better deal than what we have today, and then spend some of our money up north. So. Now, with the legislation, again, no, I'm not certain how it'll work for fiscal year '22, but in subsequent years, according to the bill anyway, there'll be the state will be delivering dollars at increased levels from where we are today. We're capped, as you know, at 30.49 or something like that. And in FY22, the cap would be 37. However, we're going to need to use our fund balance dollars first before the state would kick in money. So there still may need to be some amendment done there. Because right now our budget includes some of our fund balance dollars. We may need to spend even more of those in the next 2 years, because the state won't deliver any money if we still have fund balance exceeding certain levels. In FY22, at the end of it, we have to be at least at 40%. The year after, 20%. The year after that, 5%. And then the year after that, 0.
So they're right back to the 20% again.
It'll be interesting to see how that works. So, we'll be reliant upon the state to deliver every penny, and they'll hold out if we have fund balance, they'll hold that out of those state funds, and that's fine as long as we have the money. The bottom line there is that we'll have additional dollars to spend over the next few years. It'll cap out at about 42 per capita. And then there'll be a potential for a 1.5% increase in subsequent years. So, now that's presuming that future legislators agree to honor that. You guys have been around for a while, you know how that works. They often change their minds, and we'll revisit that. And the legislation allows for de-appropriation in any year. So we'll see how that plays out. So there's some good in it, there's some not so good maybe. But we're going to do the best we can. I'm very confident in what we're doing. We've got the best staff in the state, and I mean that sincerely. We've got great experience. We've got Beth and Sue, Lisa and Sharon, all been doing this about as long as I have. It's just embarrassing to admit how many years that is. A lot of years. And they've done a fine job. So Maybe what she doesn't have in experience, she makes up for it in passion anyway. She's very passionate about what she does, and she does a great job. I really believe that. Anyway, I'm open to whatever questions you might have.
I don't have it. That's fine. So,
Anyone
That's
else?
fine.
yeah,
Thanks, Shane.
Well, you know, you can contact me anytime. I'll ignore your emails apparently, but you
It's
know,
all right.
do appreciate you stopping over. I love the updates, so.
happy to do that. I'll try to do that, like I said, every quarter at
Good.
least, and more often if necessary. But if you have concerns, you know, feel free to reach out. And if I don't respond to an email, send me another one or call me or whatever. I had drafted a response, I just got distracted and it sat there in my box. I didn't send it apparently, so
Thank goodness that.
No, I think we've all done that, so.
Yeah, that never happens.
I do that too often. So, anyway, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Busy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Looking at an abatement for a piece of property located here in Cumber. The city acquired under 657A, the abandoned property. It's actually the building next to Legends that used to be the
Yep.
tourist store.
Gotcha.
So the city now has that.
Oh, everything's in order, good. What is the amount?
173, it's a half a year's.
I'll make a motion to approve the tax abatement for that piece of property for the city of Brenner.
I'll support.
Motion by Dan, second by Dennis, to approve the tax abatement of this property. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a nice morning.
Approval of H. Prothman, communications operator, and Alexandria Overhang, part-time communications operator.
Yeah. Bruce, do you want to say anything to this, or?
I don't think I need to.
Okay.
Unless you guys have questions.
So,
That's right.
Paige is a full-time position, and he's asking that we start at $20 an hour on her. She's currently working as a dispatch, is that correct?
Yeah, she's got 4 years' experience in Oklahoma. She's originally from here and wants to move back home.
So and she'll be starting sometime in June. And then the other one is part-time, Alexandria Urban. And she lives in Lynn Grove and is a full-time communications operator in Storm Lake. And he's also asking, and she's worked also in Henry County and is a certified jailer. So he's asking $20 an hour on her also.
Any comments, questions? We'll do one motion for both of them. That's all fine.
I'll make a motion to approve the Alphabet and Alexandria as communication operators at $20 an hour.
I'll support.
Motion by Sherry and second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
You're the man.
Yeah, the man.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard, Scott's father passed away.
Oh.
So I drew the short straw. I've got a couple things. Number one, we need you guys to approve an amended DOT budget. What we've done is we haven't changed the bottom line, but we're taking $400,000 out of road construction and putting $250 of that into roads for maintenance and $150 into engineering. We aren't changing the county budget, this is the DOT budget only. So, that's number one. And I don't know if you want to vote on that now, or otherwise, I'll give you the other one.
I'll motion to approve the amended DOT budget.
I'll second.
Motion by Dennis, second by Dan to approve the amended DOT budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I believe you have the originals, is that correct, Barb?
I do.
Okay. The other thing on the agenda for us is a road closing of 470th Street down by down by Granville. We're gonna grade that up here.
That's the next one.
Yep, the boys are working on Polk right at the moment.
Okay.
So they'll be moving to that here, depending on weather.
I'll make a motion to approve that road closing of 470th Street.
Support.
Motion by Dan, second by Sherry to approve the road closing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And as far as anything else, like I said, we're working on Polk right now, grading it up. They're setting a twin 10 by 10 box this morning out here in Center Township on 370. And I don't know if you've noticed, but PCI has completed phase 1 out here. We've opened from Primgar to L48, and we're currently working from L40 to L48. The contractor is planning on pulling out for a couple weeks. He has a project at the Sioux City Airport that he has to go to, but then they'll be back. And I think during that period of time, Godberson Smith is still going to be working out here on the viaduct, probably placing the culvert for the pedestrians. And, but as far as PCI, we're actually going to leave that at a standstill for a while. We'll just leave our signing up to keep the road closed. And of course, people drive through it anyway. So anyway, other than that, that's about it. Any questions? Okay, thanks guys. Have a good one.
How's everybody today?
If you're asking what we need, a little rain, a little heat.
Wouldn't hurt, will
Oh
it?
my goodness, yes.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Really? You
No,
took care of rain
no,
too?
no.
Are you serious?
No.
Poke that big cloud.
It's the 1 in 10 times I'm right that I called it. Hasn't been going so well lately for me, weather-wise.
I have a few minutes. This, another, I think it was over the day, so you probably didn't see that. So don't pass it on.
These ones that were sent out in email,
One was,
Yes.
this one
one
was.
was,
One was not, I believe.
okay.
Should have both
They
been.
both,
I think
oh,
I just saw a handwritten one, I think that one was too.
maybe they both.
Never happens that we're ahead of schedule. Oh, probably.
Well, yeah, it's deterred having just a new child. I just got home, having an emergency in a neighboring county. Having to stay home.
Say that again, sorry.
The train derailment with Jared,
Yeah.
just having a new child.
I know,
How big was it?
I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
I was hoping and praying that he wasn't.
I was too,
Yeah.
and that was my thought, but how big is it?
I thought about texting him, but I'm like, no, he's there, he's not gonna answer.
Exactly.
My second thought was, he was a very understanding wife.
Yeah.
Did they clear the track already? Yes.
I don't think so.
According to him, no, they were, last night they
It's
were.
still burning.
Yeah,
She was.
that's right, yeah.
You live up there?
I live in Ashton.
Oh, yeah.
And usually the track is closed, and that causes more money that they can't get through, you know, what is it, every,
Yeah.
hours down is X amount of dollars?
We're rerouting southern traffic through Mason City, and northern traffic has to go to Chicago,
Chicago.
and then up to
Yeah,
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis and around train traffic.
I didn't know that train's a long train when it goes through town.
Yeah.
Long train. If you hit that light by the Casey's there, you're sitting there for a long time. When they back up and switch cars, you might as well go somewhere and eat.
Is that the same line that would run through by Hospers then, and
No.
different line?
Oh, yeah, it goes through, yes.
Same, because I know trains on that line are long. So,
Well, they keep on passing legislation that allows them to be a little longer.
Sure, yeah.
You're not allowed, Amber.
Good morning.
And my kids saw the smoke, and they're like, somebody's burning prairie. I'm like, that is not
That's not
smoke."
prairie smoke, no.
Not that.
My son's old cattle, he lives again, and it's not all smoke.
Can't see up my yard in that direction unless you're sitting on the driveway.
Yeah.
So all my children were just lined up sitting on their butts. So really, they're quite a few confused looks.
Yeah. Watching
Yep, just watching it burn.
Even that one time there was a windmill on fire down by Elton, towards Elton. We sat from our house, we just sat out and watched. Burned for days.
Tourist attraction, I'll do that. Why do you think that?
And it happened on the perfect day, everybody's home, so I'm sure everybody was just driving.
Sure. Sure.
Everybody else was there, which is also laughing at
They're all
that,
laughing at me.
which is good. I guess.
I don't know, I think it's that.
And Burlington Northern tried to be in yesterday too. I don't know what we can share that.
So they have their own fire suppression systems and stuff too, but they don't know whether they want to put it out or not. Which I understand, some things are like that.
I actually thought it was a birthday cake for a coworker. Your birthday candles.
More wax in those candles.
I would be allowed candles, less than mine, so.
I don't know. That's it.
Oh, I totally agree.
Lyon County Park. So Lyon County Park, you can look at any place in, they're on there.
Yeah.
You can go any place in the state.
Yep.
And then you can look up in county specific.
Yeah.
I just have a
We're
lot of
working.
irons in the
We're
fire.
working, yeah. No, I understand.
It's a good, it's more of a good project, but it's on the list. It has.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
We just got that list that just come online a couple weeks ago.
Yep, there's still a little work to do on that. There's a few pages that say, still under construction. But if, no, the designer one is
Oh,
outline. So if we have that spare.
So is that resolved?
Yes, she's, I mean, sure. She's really good. Yeah. Yes, right.
All right, it's 9:45. Next on the agenda is the appointment of conservation. Thank you everyone for coming. Who wants to start?
Again, I had 2 people that I was aware of that were interested in the position. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jan Snyder and Don Coons. I called both of them late yesterday afternoon, last evening, and asked them 4 basic questions. I'll tell you the questions I asked: for what reason do you wish to be on the board? Why do you think you would make a good board member? What experience do you have, whether it be boards or previous boards or business? Do you have a particular agenda? And basically I asked, what would you like to see in the future? Both of them, and that's basically all I did, was ask those questions and listen to their answers, and both very good. They answered the questions very well. So that's what my calling did. So I don't know if there's any others interested in the position.
You have Jimmy Snyder
And Tom Coons. Yep.
We've had some letters regarding the reappointment of Darwin Dow.
But he's not even.
That's not.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's not till the end of
That's
the
right.
June.
Yeah.
I made something. Sorry.
I have several, so Jack Spruce from Shelby,
I apologize.
and also
Jack Spruce.
Don Guns.
Okay. I did not call Jack. I guess I was aware of that. I apologize. I didn't get that number.
Yep, and I spoke with both Jan and Jack, because those were the 2 that I was also aware of.
Okay.
Is there any other name presented?
Any other names?
I called a few, and yeah, it's just to find somebody who's dedicated and interested in conservation and, you know, what the board does and that kind of thing.
I know, after speaking with Jan, that her interests, her and her husband are very outdoor oriented. They're more on the biking, water side of things. And I know Jack is on the bird watching, flower, I don't even know what you're not hunting flowers. What do you do? Flower searching.
I don't know what the term would be for that. Any help?
Not Polish.
Come on.
So,
He likes to look for rare.
yeah, yeah.
Prairie flowers and
Yeah.
different. Talked to Jan also, and it was, like you said, love of nature. Has sat in previous boards, including NCC. Did she present to us, was she in that group that presented to us when they,
I think so.
for the bond-ish, the bond vote, I believe?
She was vice president of marketing.
Thank you, Mary.
Sorry.
worried.
You remember that, John?
Yeah, was that a legal street? Or was it someone?
Could be, I'm not familiar.
Alika would have been there as well.
Okay,
Mary said she was VP of marketing.
okay. And that didn't ring a bell until she said that, and then, okay. So then I understood that. Tom also has been in business for multiple years, been on school boards and church boards and so on, so has some experience with that also.
And Jack as well, he's done school boards and church boards and
Sure.
HR for his employment.
Gotcha.
They're all, they all understand the process.
And the two I did talk to, I appreciated talking to them, the answers were great. No issues with either one. So, at that point,
So in your mind, you said either one of them, are you leaning toward one of those two and not Mr. Spruce?
I am.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm leaning towards Tom Coons. Just see a deep, what we'd like to see in the future, and accessibility, and so on and so forth, and expansion, and so on. So,
He's attended a lot of different meetings down there too, and positive input on a lot of different things, so.
See, none of my two without knowing Tom had spoke with you guys.
okay.
I was leaning toward Jan for a lot of those same reasons. And when I told her, I was like, we need you to be comfortable with the idea, if you're really interested in this, to be comfortable with the idea of expressing your opinion, even if you might not be in the majority. And she goes, well, that was going to be one of my requirements. So, good.
Good. And like I said, her answers to me were outstanding as well. And I left it at that. I didn't get into conversation with them. I just let them answer the questions. And I told her beforehand that's what I was gonna, small list of 4 questions, and that's all it was. So.
There's a staff and public hearing. Does anybody here want to make any comments regarding any candidates?
I'll make one. Tom Coons will, just like she said, he will, if he's not in the majority, he'll express his opinion.
I've worked with Tom on numerous projects, and he's very good at moving things forward in a positive direction. I really think he would do very well for the Conservation Board.
He has been at most all the meetings. He has deep passion for the area and for conservation. He runs multiple businesses in a very efficient way. His employees are loyal and upbeat. I think he manages them really well. I don't know Jane,
Okay.
but she's held a responsible position. But I have not seen her at meetings or, I haven't seen her. And I've been there a bit.
I just have one question in terms of, do all these candidates fit into a certain region that we need to draw from as well? Because Wright represented Sheldon, that area, so I'm not sure where Tom is. Is he in Granville or?
No, he's, south.
South of Sheldon, 8 miles.
Probably roughly about the same distance away as Sanborn would be from the Sheldon area, you know.
So the other 2 are in the area that we.
In
They're all in the same radius.
They're all in about the same radius, I'd say. I did look at that also. Yeah.
Jack, sure.
Right in Sheldon.
No, Jack, Walton.
Oh.
Sutherland, he lives in Sutherland.
He lives in Sutherland.
Yep.
I think Tom is very well qualified. But I can't say anything against Jack either. I can go either way.
I've known Tom for a long time. He is very fair. He demands excellence from his employees. He treats them fairly. And he's got a great interest in that area down there. He wants to see it opened up, expanded. You know, he owns the land right next door. He knows what a beautiful country that is down there. He wants more people to experience that. And I think he'd be excellent. But then again, I don't know Jane. I've known Tom forever, and I have yet once respect.
Any thoughts?
Me?
I guess since Michael was hired over county attorney for conservation, I would gone away from going towards Jack. I do know, actually personally know all three candidates. And I know all three of them at a professional and a personal stance. For some personal reasons I probably won't mention, they weren't always favorable. So I think all three are probably okay at their jobs, but so yeah, I think for me it would be between Jan or Tom, just by not having the correlation of Jack and Micah, that relationship there, just.
No, that's understandable.
Yep. So how do we handle this? Do we make a motion?
I mean,
I don't know.
I just lean toward Jan. What, I guess, I don't even know where Tom, did Tom contact all of you guys? Were you all aware?
I was contacted a few days prior to that he was interested in the position, so
Right.
and then I called you the second time for the number.
For
At
Jan?
that time, I didn't have it, but after that I did. So then yesterday's when I called, I wanted to keep it close to this meeting, so I had it fresh in my memory, so.
Yeah.
I called Tom and asked him, I know him personally, I've done business with him for 15 years or however long before he was in business. He worked on tractor stores actually before he even started his business. And he's always tries to do everything upbeat. He always second guesses a lot of different stuff to make sure he's doing the right decision. And I think that I'd really like that about him, because if there's a way that anybody else knows about that, you know, a project can be done better or, you know, in a different way that will improve the output, I think that's a great thing. And I actually talked to him and asked him if he knew of anybody in that area or up in the Sheldon area that would be a good candidate. And then I also asked him if he would run himself. And he didn't answer right away, but then later on I found out that some other guys talked to him and asked him if he would run. And I didn't know if he would or not, but I think his interest has been very high as far as being there and watching what's, you know, developing. And I'm really adamant about opening, you know, about outdoor recreation right now. I think that's the trend that seems to be a positive for Brown County that would bring people in. And I think he would probably be the one to do it, and I would motion that we accept Tom Kuntz as the candidate for the Brown County Conservation Board in replacement of the position of Roy Chambers.
I will second that motion.
Motion motion by Doug, second by Dan, to appoint Tom Kunz to the Conservation Board. Further comments, discussion?
I think you have to take into consideration the tension that's been there too, and I've talked with Tom personally just a couple times in the since the transitions have happened. And I hope, and I've reiterated with him and just said, we have new staff, we have people who are gone, we have new people in, we need to move forward. I don't know, I'm not discounting what you said in any way, but I'm not sure there's been enough time that's passed necessarily from that to prove that tension is fully gone in a personal standpoint. I guess that's mine.
I understand that.
It is gone. I mean, he does not hold grudges. He does not hold grudges. That incident 2 years ago,
But he's
what he experienced deeply, deeply affected him, to the point he knew it was wrong, he wanted to see changes made. That changes made is how he sees moving forward. He wants to move forward. He doesn't want to get on the board, hold a grudge, and, get revenge or anything like that. He was deeply disturbed by what happened to him. He wants to change the atmosphere, the attitude down there. So the reason he got involved was after Denise, because he does not want that to happen to anybody else. It happened to him, happened to Denise.
Right, that's what I'm saying, we have different staff now. So
But
that's
he sat here at a meeting earlier, several months ago, and he was very pleasant and forward-looking at that meeting. He said that we need to move forward. If we move forward, we need to leave the past in the past. I mean, he sat here and said that. So I think Tom has just got that mindset that he knows everything needs to move in a positive direction.
The business he's been in, he has to see both sides of every issue. With all the people he does business with, he's very good at compromising. Believe me, he's ready to move on, in my opinion.
And in response to that, and I understand your point, the last question I asked, do you have a particular agenda and what would you like to see in the future? That's absolutely what he said to me was, past is past. I'm past that. I want to look at expansion of what we can do, services, and keeping the Premier Heritage Center open on weekends and this and that. And that's what he was looking at. So.
And I think we all want the Heritage Center to be open. That's got to be one of our main issues.
Brian, what's your?
That's my
Both
take.
candidates, I guess.
Well, you guys make the decision, and we'll have to make it work. I don't have any problem sitting down with Tom.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't be my first choice, but that's what we do here.
Yep.
Talk it over and decide.
Yep. Yeah.
But just because that's what I think doesn't mean that I can't sit down and talk to a man or talk to anybody and work.
Understood. I understand.
I think, obviously, Jan Snyder's very accomplished in her own right. Did a lot of work with college.
No doubt about that.
You know. So, what else I can say? But, yeah.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Tom Kunz. You ready to go? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
carries. Will be appointed to the Conservation Board. Effective
June.
second.
June meeting, it would be, when did, it's
June
end of the month, right? So it
Yeah,
is,
it's like a 9, June 2 or 9?
June
9.
9.
Sorry about that.
Okay, June 9.
May I say one more thing?
Yeah.
You speak very highly of Jan, Darwin Dow's term is up too. If there's a replacement needed, there you go, you've got your.
well, there,
Well, we're trying to spread it out over the county, so that's why
Oh,
this
okay.
area was Sheldon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's why, but okay.
and also Darwin would like to be on, yeah, just to
Okay.
make everybody aware of that. That has been made very clear, so.
But just like other departments, like we just did it with public health as well, who has their own board, even though everybody was willing to serve, we still came with names.
Okay.
And recessed, so.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Well, that makes sense. Represent every area of the county.
And it is pretty well spread out.
It is.
Did you, was there anything with the Heritage Center, did you find any volunteers? Did you get any, as far as staying open on Sunday or?
For now, we're working.
Okay.
Okay.
Next thing we got
As soon as we get-
is.
Oh, we have any response.
So we found a couple of
Okay.
And then this is for.
All right.
Yeah, I say it would.
So I would fill out,
Yeah, we're supposed to be in contact.
Right.
That's a start.
So we need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Saturday,
for the Board of Supervisors.
So like that's in a
We're gonna
meeting
help.
past
We're gonna still
and
have to.
something maybe.
So how are the?
Dennis? No, I'm sorry.
Meeting.
Now you need to go.
Jerry.
We'll chat.
I know Claude's interesting.
Okay, we have for keeping this meeting going. Next on the agenda, a resolution appointing myself to the Northwest Iowa Regional Housing Authority Board, which AKA is the HUD board.
And you're willing.
We appointed me, or that was the committee I was assigned to in January. Apparently, we need to officially do it with, it's a federal board, and so there are work/check marks they have to do, other than us just telling them that's the case.
I would make a motion to appoint Nancy McDowell to the Northwest Iowa Regional Housing Authority Board.
And I will support that.
Motion by Dan and second by John to appoint me to, a resolution appointing me to the Northwest Iowa Regional Housing Authority Housing Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
If you notice, I did that with a smile.
See how quick John seconded that?
Yeah. Was on that board.
Well, yes, and if you didn't, then they would also do an outage here for the whole year. So,
Thanks for coming.
Have a good day. DNR turned around pretty quickly.
Must have gotten the paperwork back quick.
For the Tanner's Matthew.
Oh,
unit
yes.
Confinement.
do I put my name? No, that's it. No, that's it.
This one, yeah. They're probably anxiously waiting for me to be able to email this to them. So is that next? Yes, okay, yes. So yes, I did receive the draft permit from the DNR on So we do have that, and as you recall, the day of the hearing, the 11th, the Tanner had requested that you wait the 14 days so he could get started. I think they are poised to start digging as we speak. So I told him that it all went very well. With any luck, we would have the final in hand today. So, and please don't dig before that.
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver of the 14-day comment period for the Matthews confinement.
Go ahead, John.
Motion by Sherry, second by John, to consider waiving the 14-day comment period on the Tanner Matthews Tucker estates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
So we can just sign there. There, and then I'm gonna run upstairs to the office. So hopefully we can get started.
I can hear them call idle. I'm drowsy now.
The drainage guy from AGR is running over.
Okay.
Is that next? Oh, I gotta claim the sewers.
Actually, you didn't even mention we haven't paid them yet.
I was kind of waiting to see if that would happen. That was maybe mean, wasn't it?
So this is reaching early now, isn't it? Is it 30?
It will be.
30, 40?
Is it 40? 40?
You want to just do
For the item.
Okay.
The next one's 30, 49.
Okay, so
49,
you
right there, 49.
That's where we're at right now.
We're gonna be at
I
the
need a
max.
motion to
So that
approve the
state
claim to
there,
Rivers for
Max is 20,
150,000.
point something that
Yeah.
they'll put in towards that thing.
We have a motion to approve a claim to Sioux Rivers for $150,000. Second allocation fiscal year 2021.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Dennis, second by Dan to approve this claim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
What was the dollar amount? Is it?
150K. The second allocation fiscal year 2021.
Second round, that'll leave us
Second
about 70,000 in the bank. So,
You're gonna upstairs
Yep,
while
I
we
know,
wait
we're
for
not
this
gonna-
guy.
Do you prefer us to wear masks?
We're fine.
Go.
Okay.
He's up. He's up.
We are.
That we gotta repeat. And we do need to hook up.
Oh, yes.
100%.
Our technical advisor will do that for you.
Well,
That's not me.
Cole is hooking up here. We will, I'm gonna hand out some business cards. We have names.
Very good.
Thank you. Who's the technical advisor?
I'm bringing it for it.
She's working on it.
You can go.
Where's your office in Salt Lake?
Right on the north
Pull that
side
over,
of town,
pull it over
just
the table this
Oh, I
time.
have
at the
a house over there,
intersection
so
by
I
Walmart.
can just,
Okay,
I can
gotcha.
put through from over there.
I think
so
I was just there the,
Bring
my
it
daughter's
back,
in
we'll be
college,
able to-
so.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll reach over
The
there.
other day, and
Okay.
Yeah.
for some reason, I think I remember seeing it, so.
Okay.
And I said, I read that one, so.
lovely picture of drainage.
I don't know if, are any of the board members were on in 2017?
Yes.
Oh,
We had a workshop session on drainage in Osceola, or in Sibley, with
Osceola County, and I
Yeah,
thought there was a couple of members.
I was there.
think-
I have all
Okay.
my notes from there still.
Okay, and was, John, were you there?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Well, again, I'm Ivan Dressler. The business cards you handed out. I'm part of the ISG resource staff out of the Storm Lake office, and with me today is Cole Guck. Again, we're here today to talk about ISG and our water resources staff and services that are providing agricultural drainage. And so, starting out here, we do have ISG basically grew out of two firms. INS Group out of Mankato and Kill and Pyre Consulting Engineers out of Storm Lake, Iowa. The merger took place in 2012. From that, we have grown into a firm with 10 office locations and 300 plus employees. Listed there are some of the values that we hold as a firm. Out of those values, I really focus on relationships. Our services in agricultural drainage really have been focused on building long-term lasting relationships with our county board of supervisors as trustees, and I feel confident to say that from those relationships, those county clients have become to know us as true experts in agricultural drainage. In regard to our company, we actually have 10 business units. We're a full service firm with architectural and engineering services, vertical engineering services, structural, mechanical, electrical in the house, plus a full civil engineering firm with expertise in-house for environmental scientists and dealing with environmental regulations and stuff. I think you find that as a working with one firm with in-house services provides a lot of value. We can do evaluate wetland regulations, make sure those type of compliances are being taken care of so that you don't run into issues with that on a drainage district project. I did forget to mention that we really have become in leadership in water quality practices too. We work with the state of Iowa. We've been hired under several contracts in providing water quality practices for the removal of nutrients and stuff from tile water, especially tile water here in Iowa. Showing up there, obviously myself and Cole, but out of our Storm Lake drainage team, we also have Spencer Peck and Kurt Fox. We would be the direct water resource team that would be assisting if you hired us to work with you on a drainage project. Additionally, I'm going to turn to Cole here. He's going to cover some of our agricultural drainage procedures that we follow.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we will be going over kind of just a rough drainage repair process for repairs or improvements. So this is a flow chart that we have developed that allows boards of supervisors, after they receive a petition, to easily identify whether it would be a repair or improvement, and then direct them down the proper channels moving forward. Some of those channels would include engineers' reports, setting hearings for that, and then setting additional hearings for annexations, reclassifications, and right-of-way acquisitions. And then also just assisting through like the bidding process for notices on like soliciting bidders and So a couple of key items that I'd like to touch on. We'll start off with the preliminary report. So within a preliminary report, what we're going to do is do a field evaluation, collect survey data, fly drone, and do field observations. We then take that data and go back to the office and develop preliminary design options, which are then discussed with the Board of Supervisors and landowners at an informational meeting. At that informational meeting, we also discuss cost, and then landowners are able to provide feedback and direct us which design fits them best. From there, we would move forward with an engineer's report to further refine that design that landowners and trustees liked best and develop those preliminary plans. Along with, after that engineer's report is accepted by the board, we would move forward with final plans and specifications. Some additional items that we would be looking at with engineers' reports would be annexation, right-of-way acquisition, and reclassifications of districts. And since we are a full-service firm, we would be assisting all the way through bidding and construction, so soliciting bids and assisting you in awarding the bid to the contractor, and then construction services, which would include staking, observation, and construction administration. Some key items that we like to focus on are coordination and communication with the Board of Supervisors. So as the appointed engineer, ISG's job is to make sure that landowners, contractors, and the Board of Supervisors all are in smooth flowing communication and everybody knows what is going on. So meetings with the board will cover items such as project progress updates, project budget update, then discussing any change orders and pay-apps that may be occurring throughout the construction process, and then also different recommended actions through the annexation hearings, reclassifications, engineers' reports, and any items that may come up during construction. And then also just making sure any landowner communication that may have reached the board, but not us, is conveyed to us as well, and then vice versa, making sure anything that we hear gets back to the board. Turn it over to Ivan to discuss some of the field and construction processes.
Well, we have in-house drone services now, and we utilize the drone services both in field evaluation of existing facilities, open ditch facilities. We're able to do those flights and use those information to evaluate the condition of that. And we also use that drone flights a lot in FEMA damage situations where we can quickly access to areas along facilities that may not be accessible after the storm. And from that, we are able to put together a preliminary cost estimate to turn into FEMA to determine if you have the dollar damages to proceed with a claim with FEMA. From those videos, we can also, well, here is an example of one of those flights. And as you can see, in different locations, we can actually go down and physically zoom in on a damage area and get close-in observation of that damaged location. We find this very useful in showing landowners also in regard to a condition of an open ditch facility, so they can see directly what we're seeing in the field and what the condition issues that they have out there. We're able to do those inventories of surface pipes, tree clearing, and overbank washes to put together those preliminary cost estimates.
It's definitely not Northwest Iowa.
Is that common? Is that common to have a T intersection on open ditches like that?
No.
Wow.
That would not be common. That video was shot up in Minnesota.
Okay.
That's in Surrey County, Minnesota, that video is.
Wow.
Does your drone have LiDAR or other special
do have, that particular drone that you saw there does not have LiDAR, but we do have a fixed wing unit that does have LiDAR capabilities.
You know, you can release some beavers and just send them
Right.
over
There you go, there's trees.
From these videos, you know, we can go directly into GIS maps, mapping and prepare maps. Again, being able to show landowners the segments of those facilities that have issues like the tree clearing or, you know, pipe blowouts, those type of things. I'll turn to Cole here. He's going to cover another in-house service that we offer.
Another service that we offer is with our pipe crawler that you can see up there. We use it to televise existing and new tile systems. So with this evaluation, you can see a couple screenshots up there of existing tile system evaluation. So you can see that there's some major structural failures occurring. This technology allows us to go up the tile and identify the problem areas, so can really be the difference in determining whether you only need to replace a few hundred feet of tile or whether the whole entire tile needs to be replaced, which can end up costing the landowners a lot of money. But if you only need to do a couple hundred feet, well, you save those landowners a big chunk of dollars. In addition,
How far can that go up?
it can go about
600 feet each.
no, 1,200.
Oh, that's right. The new one.
1,200 with the new one is, and then you can do a couple miles of tile evaluation. It can go, if it's straight, we can go down to a 10-inch diameter. But once you start getting into some of those curves, you know, you're 15 to 12-inch diameter, depending on the curves and stuff in there.
Big tile,
and the alignment,
you know, works very well.
So an additional feature on that crawler there is it has infrared technology, and that comes in handy when we're doing a replacement on like a HDP tile system. So it's able to measure any sort of deflection that occurs, so that, and then if it deflects too much, for HDP pipe, you lose the structural integrity of your pipe. So we're able to check to make sure it's being installed properly, and that landowners and the Board of Trustees can be confident in the installation done by the contractor.
Speaking on that, we're right now under contract on a major tile improvement up in Osceola County. And it's over $1 million replacement on the tile system, and part of the contractor knows that he has to provide a warranty bond so that you have another year of insurance, in a sense, for proper installation. And that system is bid as a full HDPE, and we're start out at 36.
Yep.
Size-wise, Cole is the manager for that project, and it ends up at 10-inch, I believe, at the top end.
Yep.
So, this, you know, with HDPE becoming more common for these tile main replacements, this technology of being able to check that deflection after installation, and it shows up pretty quickly. If they didn't have proper site support, then you're going to see that deflection coming in on the pipe.
HDP to high density, high
density polyethylene.
Polyethylene.
It'd be your dual wall,
Yeah,
plastic.
like a black pipe.
Yep.
Okay. In conclusion, you know, again, we wanted to reintroduce ourselves. 4 years ago, we, you know, introduced ourselves at that time. Really haven't had the opportunity to work with you, but we are continuing to work up in Osceola County and are very much interested in having the opportunity to work with you here in O'Brien County. We also know that you have some joint district facilities back and forth. If your facility, your tile facilities are like Osceola, we're finding that a lot of those facilities are very inadequate in capacity. We're right now in the process of evaluating a joint tile system between Dickinson and Osceola County, and we're again finding that it only on a half, compared to a half-inch coefficient, we're finding them down in that 20% or less capacity range. So definitely the replacement of these tile systems is here, and there's going to be more and more of this coming up this year and hopefully next year. You know, for several years to come, with grain prices and stuff being much better, hopefully we would see more interest in actually getting these systems replaced. In Minnesota, we're finding a lot of the systems are actually completely failing. Their tile is just collapsing in. We're working with one facility in the town of Early, south of Storm Lake, and they got segments there where they're losing the tile. We videotaped the pipe there, and we just got segments where the top is just starting to collapse.
Was it clay or concrete or what?
That was clay.
That was actually a mixture.
Yeah.
There's non-reinforced concrete pipe and the vitrified clay pipe, depending on the size basically. But they're both seeing similar failures. They're almost a heart shape at the top.
So you say a lot of Minnesota, is that because of what's been added on, hooked up to the line, that it's inadequate for size, or is it just failing?
Those are actually completely failing, and they're inadequate in size also.
Okay.
So that decision now comes down to, well, if you're just going to replace, we're finding that typically you're looking at, if you just replace with the same size tile, you're going to spend about 65% of the cost of actually improving it and putting the capacity that it truly needs there. You know, our farming operations, obviously, you know, the drainage designs in the early 1900s, which we're finding. We thought a lot of those different counties, it varies. Some counties you will find most of them around the quarter-inch coefficient, and that was pretty much a design standard that was used. We also find other counties where they go down into the 1/8-inch coefficient, and they hadn't done the original designs. So even back then, a lot of variation, but they didn't have as much guidance as we have today. But you know, 1/2 inch is becoming such a basic minimum that you want.
It doesn't rain, that's good enough.
Yeah, so you're probably as dry as we are at Storm Lake, and you know, matter of fact, the paper's talking about the town having voluntary water conservation already because we're in drought conditions and stuff. But we'd also questions. That's kind of just an overview of us. We're, you know, if you have questions for us, we'd be glad to talk about any questions you have.
You said you're working with Osceola and a little bit of Dickinson County. Have you worked with other counties in the area?
Yeah, we didn't have that map. As a firm, we have worked in well over 20 counties in the state of Iowa. And in Minnesota, we're probably, well, I know we are the largest firm providing the most drainage services in southern Minnesota now, across all southern Minnesota. But in Iowa, we had for years worked in Buena Vista, Sac, Calhoun counties. We've worked across, we're working in Kossuth County. We've worked in Hancock County. Worked down on the Missouri Bottom in Monona and Woodbury counties. So we have a wide variety of topographies that we get involved with. You know, obviously O'Brien and Osceola counties are different topography than what we'll find a lot in Kossuth County and stuff. But no, we, as a firm, Killen Pyre, before the merger, Killen Pyre was probably the provided our drainage services in more counties in Iowa than any other firm. And with the merger, we brought both Minnesota and Iowa drainage teams together, and we have grown in Minnesota to be the largest firm providing most drainage services in southern Minnesota.
Completely employee owned, or? I see
Yes,
employee owner.
yes, we, in 2017, we switched in 2016, we switched to 100% employee owned firm. You know, our newer office locations, Sioux Falls, we've been there for 4 years now. We've been in Green Bay for about 5 years, and we've been down in Des Moines since 2013. So, you know, we've expanded and grown around. Rochester, we just added here this past year. We just added Rochester. So, you know, in some of those operations, you know, the architectural aspect in the city areas, obviously our architectural staff are larger in Minneapolis and those areas. We have a full architectural staff in Des Moines too.
Do you have a certain drainage attorney that you use, or your knowledge on drainage law in Iowa?
Yeah, you know, we've worked with, myself, I've been doing agricultural drainage for 30 years. My anniversary date was April 8th. I've been you know, part of the operation for 30 years now. I've worked directly with Jim Hudson Sr., Jim Hudson Jr., Dave Wallazine out of Manson. We're working with Dave Johnson in regard to Hancock County. Jim Jr. is still the legal counsel over in Cassuth County. Osceola County, we were using Jim Kramer out of Fort Dodge. Jim had some health issues, and now Brian Young, who's probably around 50 years of age, is the legal counsel that we're using up in Osceola County. We've just started working with him here in this past year. Brian seems to be very good in evaluating the code and giving opinions. So I've been enjoying getting started with him. How about yourselves here? Who have you used for legal counsel?
Mr. Hudson.
Jim Hudson, sure. And Jim used to also work in Osceola County. It would probably be 5 years ago, I think about 5 years ago, they got in contact with this Jim Kramer. We had worked with Jim before, and they kind of liked his personality probably better, and that's how they ended up going that direction.
And you said now they work with Brian, what was his last name?
Brian Young, Y-U-N-G, with the Johnson firm out of Fort Dodge. Other questions? I do want to, we're going to leave you a couple of different handouts. If Cole, if you would hand out the team one first, and then I don't know if you received my email on Friday. We also sent out an email. I tried to make sure I was trying to get it direct to each one of the board members. Barb, did you receive it on Friday?
I don't recall it.
It's we'll be handing a sheet out to you too. It's about an agricultural drainage workshop. Well, it's actually a field tour this year instead of having the direct workshop. And if you want to hand those to, we're We are doing a tour on May 26th, and we would be picking, starting in Mankato bus-wise, but also going to Fairmont. And at Fairmont, you would be able to get on the bus, and then we're going to tour 4 different sites in Martin and Jackson counties. And I also have, yes, in here. I'll start handing these out. I also have a map here of the route that's going to be followed, and then we're going to end up back in. And at Fairmont, we'll have a social gathering there, and hopefully if there's additional discussion that you would have, you'd be able to discuss with other people on the tour, and also ISG members that will be on the tour with you. If you prefer to be in your own vehicle, they're going to have it set up so you can tune to a radio station in your vehicle and hear discussion, presentation about the facilities that we're looking at. So we'd be glad to have you join us, and we will get out of your hair if you got nothing else for us today. Okay, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just leave this over here.
We'll take care of it, thank you. Boots and long pants.
Is Jared coming in today?
I have not heard anything from him, so I doubt it.
Thank you again.
Thank you for coming in. Have a good day.
I just thought maybe put that on the agenda and just in case the being CDC actually, ended some of the mask mandate. I didn't know if we could have a little discussion. I didn't think we had that.
Well, it's changed.
Yeah, I saw Jared was busy.
Yeah, Jared's busy.
Yeah, Jared's busy.
Very cute picture. So to change, we have to go to a different phase.
I don't know. I feel like that's a Jared conversation.
I would hate to do it without Jared.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, discussion, yeah. That's all it is, it's not action. I think it's time. Barb, what do you think? You're in the courthouse.
I don't know, some departments see more people not wearing them.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were.
Well,
I'm just following the rules.
no, and I understand, and as far as how you interpret that, we're employees too. Employees don't have, technically it's by example, I get that.
The tough part is, can you ask and how do you know? I mean, if they're not vaccinated, they're supposed to still have them, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know? It's an honor system, so.
They can automatically say yes and never have said.
And it's always been a little different in the state of Iowa too. I mean, as far as, I don't think I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
So that's on a local basis.
I'd love to. Where is our positivity rate for the county?
1%, as I heard on the radio this morning.
Well, that's really good.
That's outstanding. I heard it on the radio this morning, and I'm positive I heard it right. A couple counties were still in that, as I recall, 3 to 4%, but it said O'Brien 1%. No. It's been 2-3 months ago. And we bumped at that point up to a 7% for a short time, and then back down to 3, 4, 5. We haven't been below 3.
There's still quite a controversy on the news yet with CDCs.
There's always gonna be a
Flip-flops.
controversy, no matter
Yeah,
which way
you know what,
look
it's
at it.
unfortunately been politicized so much.
People on both sides, yeah.
And like, in the public,
100%, yeah.
I think it'd be a time, but like I said, I want you to
Yeah.
come to us with that. When was the date we were gonna look at that anyway?
We talked about,
I can't remember what
the
that was.
first part of June, didn't we?
Yeah.
I
That's
think
another
so, whenever what we extended the leave,
Well, the leave is extended until June 30.
okay. What's the only difference in phase 3? Would we move bump to?
Right, and I was wishing I could find that. and
Yeah, it's
I haven't had any luck with it.
Yeah, I don't think I kept that paper.
I mean, on this one email, Jared sent, phase 3 was return to the new normal regular operations. I think getting rid of mass would be a phase 3 plus, I think where everything's at a regular operating hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Right now, it's encouraging people to still do what they can via mail, phone, or whatever, right?
Okay, so that might be another.
Well, thought I found it, but I didn't.
For phase 2?
Phase 3.
Oh, and phase 2, then I can't find phase 3.
I didn't list that one, we were just switching things to.
Well, this one just says return to new normal regular operations.
Where do we vary from regular operations right now, except for mask mandate? Is it times
Literally
and
just close that down.
Masks and distancing, isn't it?
distancing
And then
and
you're still encouraging people to do business in other ways.
forms, yeah.
Ooh, I think I found it. Let me put this on the screen.
Okay. I did look that far ahead.
Okay, this was an email from a long time ago. May 12. It talks about the different phases. We did do a modified phase 2 as
Yeah,
well.
we did, didn't we?
So phase 3 would be courthouse hours 8 to 4:30, the West and East Department has been continue some mitigation strategies and overnight structure hours.
That means the doors are already open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was our amended,
right, modified.
modified phase 2.
So really the only thing it takes off would be the mask mandate.
Yeah, because we can still use the mitigation strategies of,
And I think the shields, the
top shields.
glass and so on, desktops, yeah, they're gonna,
Yeah, the sanitizer.
I think that's a nice thing anyway.
nothing wrong with that at all. Most places are gonna stay and improved, I'd say.
You guys talked about the shields at your safety meeting, didn't you, Nancy?
Yeah, I mean, there was once talk of doing a ballistics glass, but unless you want to put all of that $2.6 million.
Understood.
Sure.
Sure.
And then completely redesign the courthouse. Because as Bruce said, I mean, if there's any even hole or like gap where you put papers, you just put the underneath.
Sure.
So, I mean, if you really wanted to do that, then you'd use like, and they are looking at that for the window at the sheriff's office. And that would be slot, you open and close, there would be a gap, and like that little walkie-talkie thing.
Almost like a bank.
Yeah. So, but that's like a window that's really big.
Yep.
It has like a, metal brick around it. So
Versus-
these are more open as far as, so then we're looking at some sort of plexiglass, glass type thing hanging down or built. As Dan and Randy would have to help come up with a plan there. Would be more permanent, that easier to clean, that wouldn't bow as much, that would get knocked over.
Sure.
So they have to do some drilling here and there that would not kind of ruin the structure of the courthouse too much. Yeah, for those departments that want it. So yeah, it's not a matter of, I think, that was more of, and I think like that
Scroll
is
back
something
down.
that could be spent with that money.
Oh, too far. Tentative reopens June 10th, it said on that, way back then. If you go up just a hair, no, other way, sorry, down.
We're in this modified, we're not in phase 3 now, we're in
We're in
modified phase
modified phase 2.
2. Because I had written on March 23 in my notes, it said,
Went right there.
it says phase 2, maybe go to
This
phase
is
3 after
2020.
Easter.
Okay,
No, that was on March 23,
and I think we visited it
which
that
is 2
time.
months ago, so I don't know if we talked about it since
I
then.
don't
Yeah.
I don't think so.
This is 2020 though, this is,
Oh, oops,
this is me, I think.
this one we hoped.
But this would have been the final, phase 3 is the final.
Yep,
That's the end of it.
Entrances are open to the public.
And then if we get to phase 3, when is our road gonna be done?
2 weeks ago.
I mean, they're making significant progress in that 2 weeks.
I think we're waiting out some photos. Did they get any carpet?
Yeah, and that's what we're waiting for.
I think we're
It
waiting
was
for
supposed to come
carpet.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because the walls have been done. I did get asked by Dan and Randy if and when we were moving in.
Okay.
If we were ready to go, I mean, phase 3 could be down here, or modified phase 3 and move up to
Not that I don't appreciate this extra space, which I take advantage of, but it would be nice to be back up there, especially for like days like this, where we actually have seating for people and we're not.
yep. And I know you said most boards you sit on have gone back to normal in person.
Or shoulder to shoulder.
Plus, as
Yeah.
as much as spread out is, it's like, it is harder to hear in this room from the hallway versus you guys, plus humming and
How about the lighting?
the
I just
bar
love
makes
the
the lighting.
Both hearing and lighting.
See, I live in the dark. My wife won't turn a light on for anything, so,
There is also that thing that we constantly are getting kicked out of this room, and then we have to go over there, and then that's
sure.
interesting, but.
Well, I'd say as soon as it's done and available, well, we'd have to go phase 3.
So,
Or the phase 2 second modification.
We'll have more signage.
Yeah.
think let's just give Jared
I agree with you.
give him a week.
Good call.
Yep, I like that too.
I have no issues with that.
I mean, nobody's breaking down the doors to change this right now.
Nobody's yelled at me yet, so that's.
And that man has so much on his plate right now. Let's get the train not on
Yeah.
fire.
Be honest with you. We got a female announcing the birth of their child and then the train derailment. And immediately, my first thought is, I'll bet Jared's in route. Bet he dropped his family off at home and he's in route. I said, I hope not, but I think he is. All right, have good discussion, at least we'll keep on the horizon first.
Ready to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I want to talk about insurance a minute.
Okay.
I had Tom Foose in on Friday to review the county insurance program for fiscal '22. And a couple things that we talked about. One being, do we want to raise the deductibles on our collision and comp?
Where are we at?
For comp, we have $50. For collision, we have $250. Now,
Really?
comp, I said I think we should leave alone because we do break a lot of windshields.
Sure.
The collision, he's going to price out a $500 and $1,000 deductible. I visited with Scott a little bit about it. And what I said to Tom also was the tough part about the deductibles is that, well, yeah, it makes more sense to have a higher deductible. The problem is that each department has to pay those.
Oh.
So, you know, you have a sheriff's department that has some accidents, deer hits, those kinds of things, it starts to count up. They can handle it better than the Ohio State Conservation can. You know, because past experience, they've each had those types of situations. So, he's going to give us a price to see what the difference in the premiums would be. But that would be one drawback from a department standpoint if you've got to stand those costs.
Okay.
Can they be variable? When
I just asked him that question a few minutes ago, and he said they can. He said we can use different deductibles as long as we can identify how you'd like it separated. For property, it's a little difficult because it's blanket. Well, I don't think we want to do that. Vehicles and heavy equipment is more what we're looking at.
Is there any way we can divide that department then too?
Yeah, that's.
It is.
It is. Okay.
That's why it's,
Yep.
it's, the other thing that I was looking at is, I was going to do that earlier, but I haven't done it yet. We have a fund that we pay the work comp deductibles out of. And I think my question is, can we and should we use that to pay these deductibles? Years ago, we set up this fund to, let's see if I can find it.
Percentage. Hard.
Right, we set this up to pay the work comp those $250 deductibles on non-medical claims. And I was going to see what it's got for balance here. We've only got about 13,000 in it now. So we got a little more in there. But what we did when we got some of those rebates or, you know, from work comp,
Right.
we put it into that fund, just threw it in there and used it to pay those. And if we did another one, maybe that's that's the thing to do, is to throw half of it in there again. And use that for those deductibles. It's something to think about, you don't have to decide that today.
It doesn't sound like too bad an idea.
No, I mean, as long as we can between comp and workman's comp and vehicle comp.
And then, you know, if we raise those deductibles and the department's going to stand it, it would just be out of the fund.
Well, I think in the end, I'll guess we're gonna find out the savings on our premium is gonna be huge outweigh the higher deductible on, say, half dozen claims a year. My opinion would be, that's what I've found anyway.
Now, the other thing that we talked about was, I think the costs of vehicles and stuff that we have in here are what we paid for them at the time.
Yeah.
Do we want to use replacement cost for the value that we have listed?
Go high book value.
I think that's,
That's
I
what
think
using to
some
really,
things you might want to do with replacement, the rare
don't
items.
use that would change.
Think of
Or
your home
if
and
they're
house and
replacement.
Well, and right now too, you might have the value of the item, but the items are very difficult to come by.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna be a big discrepancy in price. You have to all of a sudden replace something.
But that being said, what's the probability? This is something Scott and I then talked about too, you know. He said, in all the time he was at Clay County, they lost one grader. It was in a shed that burned down.
okay.
But now that we're talking about it, it's probably pretty high.
I thought the same thing, I didn't say it. It's all you, Sherry.
When I think of what kind of unique equipment we have, I would think bridge stuff or crane, a little more unique.
Sits outside.
Unique and harder to come by or harder to,
Yeah.
and more expensive to replace or.
The crane would be the only one that I would kind of,
Yeah.
it's only got like 25,000 on that thing.
And if that goes, we're screwed.
And they do house that inside here now, I think, don't they, in the wintertime? I think they found a home for it. Used to sit out, but I don't think it has the last couple of years. They started,
No, but so I mean, for those of you that,
You just have one on both sides of the bridge a lot, maybe not.
So it'd be good to talk about with Scott. and
Not the
all.
excavators.
yeah, I mean, the other stuff is more common, they go, I mean, motor graders more common. I'm kind of referring like some Sheldon, they had a ladder truck that was
yeah, I heard that.
totaled and then they didn't have replacement cost on it, well, that's expensive.
Yeah.
It's harder to find.
Okay,
Well, if you want to look at the premium differences, I'll need to let these departments know so they can get
inventory.
replacement cost on them, because we do not have that right now.
Then you just gotta weigh a little bit the likelihood of a claim, which in X number of years, you may have one major claim and the savings on the per year by not having replacement, and just, it's, most times it ends up being 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Most times, until you have that horrible disaster, which is awful no matter how you look at it. How many of you have put, with the increased building costs and materials cost, up your homeowner's insurance? I have contacted my agent, but I haven't gotten to it yet, so
Yeah.
I don't want my escrow payment going, you know, it's gonna, but you've raised your house cost $100,000 right by now. And insurances, have they moved with the added costs? Because some insurances in this category will only allow you to insure so much per square foot. So will they allow you to insure for more?
We called ours, they let us change our buildings.
Yep, that's the right thing to do. I built my machine shed in 92 for $21,000. Later, about 8 years ago, I thought, well, that isn't enough.
No.
I raised it to 40.
No.
Not even remotely close.
What's that?
But if property.
Exactly. I did, on some of my buildings, it's absolutely just a salvage. Taking it down there, burn it there.
Another piece of equipment I just kind of fast forward about was Jared's EMA trailer, was sort of customized.
Yeah,
With some nice,
I think that one needs to be a replacement value as well.
that one.
that's licensed,
To buy a
so,
camper is a whole lot cheaper to buy
Yep.
what he's got.
so that's licensed, so we have 2 licensed vehicles in the EMS. And what have we brought in that?
You've got the assessor's card, you've got that, and then you've got another little trailer he has.
Okay,
And then we have mowers.
that's in that building. But if they go by department with licensed vehicles, would that be separate?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean,
Still
they're all under
property and-
one policy, yeah.
okay.
The only thing that always comes into my mind with this is, wasn't it Hinton, where all the buses were in the barn? Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. I get it.
So, I don't know, I can ask them if they come up with those numbers and get them.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's the right thing to do. Let us look at it.
And then the other thing is, he asked me about quoting, ICAP again. I don't think that's gonna be a good move. They're looking at 10s and 15 increases.
I don't think
I don't
so
either.
I think if we were in a position where we needed to be quoted.
It's
So I
different.
think we're happy right now, and we did have a few hits this past year, but
On what
I'm
comes.
knock on wood. The comp is doing well.
I've kind of heard some stories from some of the other counties prior
Sure.
to budget time that ICAP was handing out some pretty hefty increases. And from what Tom has gotten so far from EMC, that's not the plan for us. So, then you gotta be into that thing for so long and buy your way in. And
Yeah, and if you get out, it doesn't pay for claims that are still potentially in existence. It could be, somebody files a late claim down the road for bad back related to their work, they won't pick that up if you're out of it.
No, I'm happy where we are.
I am too.
So if you go to that replacement cost, is that pretty much automatically, they adjust that every year?
I
Or
imagine
6
you'd have
months
to
or
put
something
a-
possibly?
some kind of a percentage or something like that.
Of replacement, okay. They'll come up with a quote on that? Tom will, or,
Yeah, we asked him to.
Yeah, we'll have to get values.
I think it'd be nice to look at it both ways.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of look at it department by department,
Yep.
see where we would like to be. Good.
So then looking ahead, I'm anticipating we'll meet. And then do you want to meet June 1? After Memorial Day or?
Well, it's one of the best days there is. Birthdays.
Oh,
It's my husband's birthday as well.
Is it really? I think I did know that, Nancy. You said that
Yeah,
before.
he was thinking of it.
Always the one forgotten on the calendar because you switch it. Oh, it's his birthday.
Yeah.
I didn't get him anything. I've never gotten anything anyway.
Did it 5
Is there 5 in a month then?
in the month?
There are, and then also potentially July 6th.
yeah.
July 6th, I will be gone anyway.
Okay.
So we're planning to take that one, right?
Yep.
I will be here July 20th. Better delete that one on my calendar, because last time I didn't, I was walking out the door, before I realized we didn't have a meeting.
I'd say since we have 5 in June, one right after Memorial Day, we could skip.
So we're gonna skip June 1st and July 6th, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
It's not my husband, I can take meetings up there.
Right.
I will be on the 20th and I'll be on the week.
You'll be going.
I will be off work for 8, maybe 9 days in a row. Never done.
Terry's the
Yeah. Of course, our holiday at work, they'll probably pay us for Saturday the 3rd.
Oh, sure.
4th is 4th of July, of course. We're leaving the 6th, I'm gonna take the 5th off for Black Hills. Not coming back till the next Saturday or something.
Okay. What do you do next week?
What's that?
You're on next week?
No,
Okay.
July,
Oh.
4th of July week. A nice little cabin in the woods. And
God, there's a lot of people at the Tulip Festival, so.
was there?
Wow, this is so, they said that, I talked to one of the guys over there at his business, he said they had more, the carnival guys and the vendors had more business on Friday than they had, it was a record for all the years they've been doing it, and then plus they had Saturday on top of that. And he said they probably made more money this year than they would have made if they would have had
2
this
years
year
in a
and
row.
last year together.
You know,
They said they thought they had, what do you say, over 130,000 people, 6,000, something like that on Saturday. It was just like, everybody came out. It was a gorgeous day. You know,
I think you're gonna see that with fairs. And
yeah.
since you missed a year,
Mhm.
basically.
Yep. Yeah. I'm anxious to go do things.
The kids didn't even know Tulip Festival existed until this year, and we happened to make the mistake to drive by. And we're just
Oh, oh.
like, oh, there's a bear! Sorry, kids.
You can say I've never been there.
I haven't either.
I was as a kid, marched in the band, I think a couple of times.
She said, there's a, she said, that's
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Yeah,
second.
anything else that you heard?
I don't think so.
Okay. Sherry motion, Dan second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.